everybody. Changing it up from the Shaper project today. I've got an opportunity window here, so I'm going to take it. The wife's out of town with the grandkids. They'll be gone about 3 days. So this thing has been a nagging problem for quite a long time. This is the outside water spigot. Wait, this isn't machining or full repair? No, indeed it's not. This just needs to get done. So, give you an example. Okay, it pretty much leaks for the last 22 years. So it's time for me to address this problem. So we are going to replace the entire spigot. I'm sure I could probably go in and reseal it and do some kind of other nonsense, but it's like, you know what? No, it's not even a freeze-free, and in Michigan that's really kind of important. So we're gonna fix it, and it's gonna take place most of it inside, but I figured I'd bring you along. Okay, here we go anyway. I got just enough room to get that off. Copper is pretty forgiving. Bucket. Approximately bucket it. Oh yeah, you can hear every water pipe in the house now is getting angry. All right, that's done. Okay, just a quick one on that 3/4. Gonna use a cleaning brush to deal with this. Even though I'm using a compression fitting, still gonna get this good and clean. Why the leather gloves, Dan? You'll find out very soon. Hold on. All right, cleaned it up a little bit. I'm going to chase that with emery cloth. The brush gets it off pretty good. Emery cloth will finish it. That's half the battle in this stuff, is getting it clean. Okay. Compression gate valve. I'm going to set it to closed. If you've never seen one, internally, make sure it's pushed in good and flush. Nice and level. Pair of crescent wrenches. One to hold the body, one to do the forcing. One to slip off. And yes, the gloves protected me. No skint knuckles. Okay. A lovely plumbing job here. This is not mine. I did not plumb this house. I just bought it. Okay. That'll be open flow. That'll be closed flow. Okay. Get that up. Okay. We went ahead and put the spigot in from the outside. It is poking through there. It was a 12-inch, and it looks like it was just enough to get through. Okay, I'm going to go hands-free and show you. I'm sorry for the lighting. It's tough to see up in here. Let me turn the light on for this. There we go. There you go. You can see the new one sticking out. It's mounted to the outside of the house, but we'll be coming off with a piece of 1/2-inch copper, and then we'll be putting a gate valve in, and then we'll be turning and tying everything back together again. So I have to connect the 3/4, and it has to connect out to these halves. There's one, there's the other, and then both of those are going to have gate valves in them, so I can shut off. This one is to the kitchen right here, and then the small bathroom. Yeah, that's how the Americans we call this stuff. And then this one is going to be going down to the large bathroom. So that's pretty much the extent of that. But first off, we need to get a 1/2-inch nut soldered to that, and then get that twisted onto the pipe, bring it this direction, and then we'll start plumbing it in. Now, copper is beautiful because you can dry fit it. PVC, not so much, because you have to, the glue and everything else, and twisting and popping and growling and all that. Copper's not. You can dry fit it in position. Now, the part that I was thinking over here is everything from this point forward is dry. When I start to solder, it'll be no problem at all. Over here, adding the compression gate valves, there'll be no problem at all. So when I start soldering this thing, it's going to be a picnic. So I will bring you back. I thought you might appreciate the tile saw as the workbench sitting on the old Michigan style 1950s drain. So I mean it's what we have. This is a 1954 build house, so you know, a lot of the amenities have not been updated, and nor should they be. They're perfectly fine. So first step, I'm going to tie off of the valve that's coming through the wall, which means the outside spigot, and I'm going to get this ready to go. So I'm using the wire brush to clean out the inside. Can't be too clean, no matter what you do. Can't be too clean. Okay. Then we're going to use a flux, a water-based flux. Got to be careful. All the components you look at, double check to make sure it's lead-free. Otherwise, your kids may be born naked. You don't want that. So, but you may find a deal online that says, hey, this looks really good. Check it. It's very, very likely it's got lead trace in it. So, not potable. Use it on a drain, but you can't use it on your house for your normal water. You'll fail an inspection later on down the road when maybe you're gone and your kids are trying to sell your estate. You don't want to play games with that. Just do it and do it right. Okay? I will get this prepped and get ready to solder this one little test joint. Okay, this is not going to be perfectly to length. I'm going to get it up in there and then be able to trim it. There won't be very much waste. Copper is a wonderful product that there isn't a lot of waste if you pay attention. So I'm just going to cut this off real quick. And there it goes. All right. Now, you're going to laugh at me, but my wife gives me a hard time for all of the quote garbage, and she uses a better vernacular for it, in my shop. However, I was able to walk out to my shop and pull 30 feet of 1/2-inch and 20 feet of 3/4 copper that I paid probably $15 for, maybe 20, and then now it's at 65 and 75 in the US. So it's insane. So stock up and save is my motto. Okay, clean the one end, got that ready to go. The other end, I don't know where it's going to end up, so I went ahead and pre-cleaned it. So as I trim that to size, because I'm up inside of there, I'm going to be able to just go ahead and go with it. So just save myself a couple of steps. Okay, not sponsored or anything remotely like that. Just showing you what kind of flux I'm using. Never used this one before. It definitely calls out that it is a water-soluble paste and that it is water lead-free. So we should be good to go. So it's just going to be a paste. Okay, this one's actually looks somewhat similar to the other stuff. Okay, so from here, just smear it on. There's no magic trick, just make sure you get coverage. This cleans the flux, so basically it cleans the joint so that your solder can actually take up residency there. Okay, and then this joint's already been cleaned, double check it. And the beauty of this is with copper you can dry fit it, so very, very advantageous. So what the heck? Oh, hold on a second. And you thought it was just you. Now, the one I pulled off the shelf, because one of the things that drives me nuts is stock keeping in a major store. They just don't do it. So I'll give you a quick one. Look the same, right? This one goes inside a joint. This one goes on the outside. The outside is the one that I wanted. So very, very subtle difference. I'll just give you, say, look. So that is the one that goes on the inside, and this is an outside one. So same fitting, just was in the wrong bin. So here you go. They're having a definite tough time here in the U.S. getting anybody to show up for work. Maybe that's not mutually exclusive to the U.S., but okay, get it in there, give it a good twist. It will tighten up. If you can see down inside of there, the copper joint goes right to it. Now, when we silver solder that, if everything goes right, it will basically, you'll be able to see a little silver ring around there where it takes up residence. Likewise, make sure the solder you're using is plumbing solder. Okay? It's water safe, lead free. Okay? Okay, now we'll just do this live. One of the things you want to have, and there's a trick, is have a wet rag. Sloppy, wet, just fine, no problem. All right, you don't want to burn the flux. You just want to kind of let the heat warm up. I'm using MAP gas. You could use propane, just the same. You're going to see it turn clear on the solder, or not the solder, but the flux. Let you know you're getting close. There you go. Starting to bubble. Just kind of drag it along there. When it goes all at once. Getting close. There you go. Okay, I'm wasting it, but giving you the idea now. Why the gloves, Dan? It's hot. Okay. Okay. See if you can see this down inside. See the silver ring? Yeah, it's capillary action on that. It's actually, it's there. It's going nowhere. So, hey, it isn't gorgeous, but it's darn sure effective. Okay, let me get this up into position up there. One of the things to be safe is, one thing my dad taught me. He was a pipe fitter extraordinaire, you know, fabrication welder, kind of a savant at all of that stuff. But when it came to mechanical things, oh no, he was all thumbs. But he gave me this tip years ago. He says, you're a mechanic, you might want to use this. So this is one of them, one of the variants, but he basically taught me about Teflon tape and the value that it can have. And what we're doing right now is that joint where we're coming off of the spigot, we're wrapping that nicely with some Teflon tape, because machining on copper isn't always perfect, and so you don't want to sit there and have to keep snugging it down. I'm not using pipe dope. I prefer this because, one, it's not nearly as messy, and two, it's working out okay. You notice this is gas and water line rated. So, and this is kind of the heavy, thick stuff. I kind of like it. Okay, we've got it fastened into position onto the spigot. So we have a little bit of excess right there. And notice I made a mark right there. That's the center line of the lines. I borrowed a drywall T-square. I love those crazy things. They're not accurate, but man, directionally, I was able to square it up on that pipe and draw a vertical line going down. It's like, okay, so right from there, right from here, I'm going to have a 90, or not a 90, I'm going to have a three-way coming in right here, and it's going to go down, and then it's going to go out this way. And then from this direction here, we're going to pick up a 3/4 to half adapter, and then we're going to tie right into the compression fitting. And then down below here, the line's going to come down in that T, and then we'll be tying those off into those compression fittings too. So we've got a couple of joints to sweat. They call it sweating, I call it soldering. Yeah, it's the same thing. But that way we'll have it all tied in, and then everything will be accessible. By the way, these gate valves are under pressure right now with the compression fittings. Not a drip, not a drop, not a nothing. So they're under pressure. I went in and turned the water back on just to check, and it's doing just fine. Same thing is true with this 3/4 up here. It's under waterline pressure, so not a leak. Love those things. Okay. Remember I told you about the beauty of dry fitting copper? Okay, there we've got that. This piece, by the way, there is no waste here. That extra that I cut off now becomes the downpipe for that one. And this 90, I've got that lined up roughly with the left and right. Again, copper is very forgiving. Okay, this one doesn't have as much room, but all I got to do is loosen it because it's actually soldered to a hanger. So from that one, I was able to dry fit it. Yeah, there you go. You can see I'm right about in line. And then make a mark, and then I will trim that, and then we'll make those two side port pieces. And then right here, see how that's kind of not quite square? Just put it into position. And then when we get ready, I'm going to bring a heat shield over the top of this, a sheet metal or whatever. I'll get by without it. Yeah, you might, but dumbasses burn their houses down. So we're going to try to avoid and not be that guy. So anyway, that's kind of where it is. That's the beauty of dry fitting it. And once we're all in position and we can make sure it all sets, then we start dropping the heat and putting the solder to it. So, I mean, it is very nice to work with and very forgiving. You know, a few things I got to tie up here, but it works out well. Okay, we've dry fit up to that point. So we come in, we have a T, three-way, dropping down to both sides. Each of these are cut to length. I've just got them started in the compression fitting. One of the things you want to do is when you pull it all together and you tighten that final compression down, you want to ahead and give everything a good squeeze inward so it will go. So other than that, that's all done. That's tight. That's ready to go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then one more joint coming this way to go ahead and tie in. But for both of those circuits, I'll be able to shut off either direction. And then, you know what? I forgot something. I was going to gate valve the outside spigot. Ugh. Okay. Okay. Dry fit. Ready to start sweating this in. We got the gate valve in the back. Logical positioning, it's not hitting anything. That's always a bummer. put a valve in. It's like, oh, the handle can crack something. So the joints are ready, and we'll start sweating it again. We'll bring that in, but it should be good to go. The alignment's not too shabby. You can see with pipe like this, until you actually get it together, I don't think we have really anything all that wonky. Yeah, this one's going up at an angle a little bit, but that's okay. It was already laying on top of the, believe it or not, laying on top of the AC ducting, so we've actually improved that. We'll tie those wires up out of the way. This is clear. That's clear. That's clear. All right. The spigot on the outside is tied down good and tight, so that's where it's going to be. And then we'll get to soldering in here in a minute. Okay, just to give you an idea what I'm using for a heat sink, I'm going to solder those joints down there on that T right here. And then I'm using a piece of stainless, and that should be perfectly fine. Don't try it without it. Really, it's not worth it. It took just a couple of seconds to walk out the shop and grab some scrap, and everything's going to be fine. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 joints, 7 joints that we're going to have to do. So it will be fine. Once the pipe gets hot, like on these 3 joints, that is no problem at all. And you're wondering, well, how are you doing this vertically? It's magical. It works, no problem. It just sucks it right in there. So we'll bring you back as soon as I start getting that soldered in. Okay, got the joints soldered. Both of those, those. We should be in good shape now. Again, you don't know until it does, and you pray that it doesn't leak, because once it gets wet, it becomes a really, really big problem trying to get everything back again. So we will give it a second here, then we will pressure it up. I've got to tighten the compression fittings on the ends here, and that's about it. These actually right there. Okay, didn't catch anything on fire. Cool. Well, moment of truth. We're going to crack this gate valve here and see just how everything works out. These lines are shut off. And kick the camera. You know it's me that way. You know I'm not, pod people haven't got me. If Dan kicks the camera, you know it's me. Okay. No runs, no drips. Pressurize that. This ground wire you see bopping here, that was going to the cable little box. I'll tie that back on. Nope. That'll be the toilet in the little bathroom, or excuse me, the big bathroom. Alright, so I can shut that off, and shut that off, shut this off, shut that off. So I got more compression gate valves than any 5 guys you know. But at the end of the day, I got options. So let's go check the spigot and see if that works. That could be an interesting debate. First, we better turn it on. Yeah, it's open too. Let's go outside, shut it off. Well, it's under pressure. Well, let's see. Hook up the hose. Oh, look at that. It's not pissing all over itself. Nice.